Why should anyone want to hear your side of the story?
Because I didn't kill my family.
For 21 years, he's been silent.
The day has come for Scott Peterson to share with us.
We have not heard convicted murderer Scott Peterson speak from behind bars until now.
I was totally expecting to go home that day.
Nearly 2 decades after being found guilty for the 2002 murder of his wife Laci and their unborn son Connor, Scott finally breaks his silence in the new Peacock docuseries Face to Face with Scott Peterson.
I wish I could say I was stronger, but all that stuff did take a toll on me. I was so angry at the media because the reports just weren't factual. I strive not to show any emotion in the courtroom because I didn't want to see them break me.
And in this excerpt played on the Today Show, Scott defends speaking to his mistress, Amber Fry, while police were actively searching in California for his missing pregnant wife.
Why did you keep talking to Amber Fry after Laci disappeared?
I was searching for my family. Stay in contact with Amber, I thought. And she wouldn't get into the picture, complicate, ruin the search.
Did you murder your wife?
No. I did not.
The last time we heard Scott talk was when he was grilled by Diane Sawyer in this 2003 ABC News special.
Suspicion has turned on you.
Yes, definitely.
Did you ever hit her? Did you ever injure her?
No. My God, no. Violence towards women is unapproachable. It is the most disgusting act to me.
We had a motive. He didn't want to be a father, and this is the way he thought about getting out of it.
That's so offensive. It's so disgusting.
Scott is currently serving a life sentence, but the LA Innocence Project is pushing to get him a new trial. They hope DNA testing on a piece of duct tape found on Laci's pants could help exonerate Scott.
The Los Angeles Innocence Project has come on board to help find all the things that were ignored by the Modesto Police Department.
I think that a lot of the evidence is not new. Was available to his defense team at his first trial.
Retired FBI investigator Bobby Chacon led the dive team searching for Laci's remains in the San Francisco Bay, the same place Scott told police he had gone fishing months before Laci vanished.
I do believe that he's guilty. I think that there was a compelling case at trial. I think the LA Innocence Project has the right to get those test results, and then the judge can make a decision on whether or not those test results are compelling enough for a new trial or not. I mean, I don't think they'll be successful.
So I wasn't the last one to see Laci that day. There are so many credible witnesses who saw her walking in our neighborhood.
We heard that there had been a burglary next door.
The burglars may have abducted and killed Laci.
There's blood on a mattress in a van. Why didn't this get brought up?
There was DNA testing on that mattress that came back negative.
Technology has changed significantly in 20 years. Now you can have an old degraded piece of DNA. You can rebuild the DNA now. You can come up with a profile for that person, what they look like, what their hair color was, what their age was.
Ana Garcia, host of the upcoming television show True Crime News, has been following the case intently on the True Crime News podcast.
If that DNA on the duct tape turns out to be Scott Peterson's, well, then he's pretty much like not only double locked his jail cell, now they can throw away the key.
Hi everyone, so before we get into the reading, I just wanted to show you what I understand Scott travelled on the 24th from Modesto. I marked them because it's difficult to see, but it's the purple line to San Fran Bay. I understand that that was around 87 miles, if I'm not mistaken, so quite a distance. And then we have these pictures. This is where he would have parked before we get to the next picture, which is like the loading bay for the boat. So this is the loading bay, and if you remember in my part 1, I actually had a picture of this. So that's where he would have had to, I believe, load the boat off. And then in my read, I actually discuss the areas. So this one, I believe I'm right. The first red line where I've marked number 1 is actually from the loading bay to what Scott actually said he travelled out. I believe he had told police around 2.5, 2.7 miles. So that's the first one. And the second one is where the bodies were found. So this is where Laci's body was found upon the shore. I'm adding these after my reading just for your information. And then I've got a line where the bodies of the Laci and the baby, so Laci's is number 1 and the baby is number 2. They were actually found separately on different dates, and I dive into this in my reading. Now there is also a further clip that I plan to add at the end of my reading. I just need to check what it states. Hi everyone, so this is going to be Laci Peterson's part 2. I thought we'll do it in between, well, it should be in between, it might not be, but one of the segments of Kyron Horman's case. I hope you're following that, no cheating. So you might see it between the part where I start to discuss facts and we'll pull cards and tie things in, and I've already started doing that, so I do hope that you're interested and want us to continue down the Kyron case with the different segments as opposed to just jump into final segments and closing it off until we do another read. So if you are, like I said, please do comment to vote and look out on the community page to vote, and this is for subscribers and members. Members and subscribers would get the first hand in, and when you also comment, I can differentiate between a subscriber and a returning viewer, and that's how then that read takes prevalence over others. Now, in the Laci case, I was a bit confused on how I've got quite a few notes, so there could be a part 3, and if you want us to do segmented parts on this, then please do let me know as well in the comments. I always ask for your votes. Not many people do vote. I was confused on how I was seeing the baby separate, and I think if you go back you might feel my hesitation in that or confusion, but I actually looked it up. Now the baby was found on April the 13th and Laci's body was found on April the 14th. I am going to try to add a screenshot because I was looking at mapping. I'm going to try and add a screenshot because it wasn't found in exactly the same area. It actually looks quite far, but I think it's only maybe 5 or 10 minutes away. And one of them is here, the baby, and Laci's body was here. What I'm not clear on, and I want to pull cards just out of interest to see who found her body. I'm still not clear if there was ligaments not missing, because that's what I was getting, wasn't I? So I was getting the possibility like the head and the arms, or an arm at least. So I'm not sure about that, but again, the traditional tarot is calling me here. The camera might shake a moment. I need to just shake the cards. This might be a bit all over the place because when I'm doing segments of different cases, it's kind of difficult because Spirit won't leave me alone on the cases that I need to read on. And so what happens is I take loads of notes as things are coming through for other cases while I get the impromptu case to read on. And so it turns out that actually what I wanted to cover in one thing might come into two. Like I've got a whole A4 page here on stuff, and some might just be that I can just mention it. I haven't seen the Netflix documentary because with my nail broke. So this shellac came off and the nail broke with the shellac. It looked like a beautiful one piece on my stretching mat and my nail looked terrible. Look at that. Okay. So it's not like, you know, when you look like that, it looks like it's groggy, but it's actually just the shellac came off and took the nail with it. Anyway, and look, you can see it's a clean nail. Yeah, I do energy healing as well, so I have to. So yeah, let's just see who found her body. How was it found? Because obviously I washed up, but I mean, come on now. And I also found out that the false alarm that I was getting in the first round was actually that they found an anchor. They found an anchor. So can you imagine? Scott must have like had a massive deep breath of release after that was on the news. We found something. It was actually an anchor, and that's I think that's the false alarm that I was getting in the first read that I'm sure I mentioned. So washed up. You know, I don't know if it was a person with a dog, to be honest with you. I'm not looking through the cards. I'm just making sure they're all the same way, by the way. I'm looking at these cards. So I think it could have been like someone walking by here, you know, just near the really close to the shore. There's not many tarot cards that has dogs in it. So, but here what I'm seeing, it could be the dog that actually got alerted, and then then they alerted the police. That it could be what happened there, like a wash up on the shore. The dog alerted the police, alerted its owner. I feel like the dog sprinted to it, right? And then the police were called. So that could be what we get there. And it kind of ties in with what I was feeling. What I do want to ask is, so yeah, the baby was found separately, which baffles me, but like, Laci was really heavily pregnant, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the first read, but she was also struggling. She was 8 months pregnant. I know you all know. She was really struggling, and I think she would have given birth within the next 2 weeks. Like I asked Spirit, and you know, 3 weeks seems a bit far out. It definitely was not per her due date or after her due date. 10 days seems a bit iffy, like she might have had some labor pains or those pains that you get prior, but it's around the 2 week mark. And what really also got me, so remember, disclaimer, this is all for entertainment purposes only. All my videos, the full disclaimer is in the description box. It's my opinion, it's not the facts, it's not the truth. Law enforcement, the legislation, the laws is there to prove who's guilty and evidence, etc. Okay, so what was the other thing? What was I going to say? Yeah, so it seems like you can actually have a stillbirth. And I wonder if this is also caused because, can you remember how I said I had a vision? And what was coming through with that is what I get right now is I feel like Scott was confused whether, you know, if she's unalived, does the baby stay alive for some time? And can you remember I mentioned about pressure, a little bit of pressure put on the baby while I could see the jaw locked open. So maybe it put something in the mouth, but the jaw, her mouth opened and then her jaw locked. At that stage, you know, whether he closed it, what he did after, that's something different, but that definitely happened, and I'm getting the locked jaw pain again. So I was feeling that he's like, he was questioning, would the baby still be alive? And you know, at the time, it's kind of like putting pressure, a bit of pressure on the belly. And I wonder if that actually made it, it's so hard, and I don't know why I'm getting emotional, made, you know, pushed it down so that maybe by the time she got to the water, oh, this is horrible. She did give birth. I mean, I think you all know what I'm trying to say. Wow. But I do see him in that. He's like worried, is the baby gonna be alive? The other thing is that apparently during this time there was a few women, or there was a woman that got pregnant and is believed to be abducted, and they believed someone else in the area. What area were we talking about? Is it Modesto, isn't it? Is it California? I don't know. Modesto, I remember that word. That was targeting pregnant women. But I'm going to add a clip in of 2 minutes, because in the last reading I was feeling like there was an energy of two energies trying to come up, and one was really, it was kind of all about timing to try and program and switch our beliefs into a certain, down a certain avenue, right? It's the polarized energy of one against the other to see if some people will sway. Now, the dynamic of the energy is very interesting, and I said there's an organization, and what I understand, it's the LA Innocence Project who is backing Scott up. If I say Sam, I apologize. It's because of the Ellen Greenberg case. Now I've just gone into all the cases that I get downloads on. Hang on a sec, 1 second. So he spoke through them, and apparently that's on something called Peacock. I've managed to get a clip from YouTube, but I just need to check what it says. It's only like 3 minutes, but I'm sure it is, because I saw the word Peacock. Now, whether I have that in my history, I can pull up the same thing or something that says this is on Peacock. I'll add that video in. I have to just note. So what I understand from what I see is they found duct tape, or there's duct tape that was around, I think some people have said around the baby, some people say around Laci's leg. And basically Scott's team, or the defense, want this duct tape, or the LA organization, testing for DNA. Now there's an issue with that, because cross-contamination could have happened ages ago. And also, think about it, right? You go to the pound shop, you go to Sainsbury's, you go to Fred Meyer's. Where did she learn Fred Meyer's? I wonder. You go to Walmart, you can't find duct tape, right? It's massive, and you're kind of like, hey dude, where's the duct tape? So the person shows you where the duct tape is, and they pick one up as this. And you're like, okay, great. So you take it to the counter. Who touches it there again? The counter person, right? So how much, even before a case, cross-contamination is there on that? Okay, so it's very easy that it might have Scott's DNA on it, but also someone else's DNA on it. And then they've got to find that person. And if that person is a criminal, well, it's going to be hard to believe, isn't it? That actually, yeah, I'm a twat, but I've not done all that. I've not done this. So I think the alibi is to try and get this in. I don't know if the judges agreed. I don't think they should agree, because it's, I mean, if it was other stuff, I think there's something that some are saying there was BLOOD in a van that wasn't tested. Some are saying it was tested and there was no DNA linkage or evidence or something like that. But if there was several stuff, then it's something different. But at this point, I think this is going to be too complex to take it in. And imagine the court rulings, which is reminded me, I'm also doing another Delphi, because I've got a couple of things I want to cover, which will be a few parts. Okay, Can you see how much energies are in me right now? And this is why I don't want to watch the Netflix, because even at night I'm trying to sleep peacefully. What did I want to say now? If the DNA, if it was on different stuff, then fine. But yeah, so this person, Scott, has been, what, has he been in jail for like nearly 20 years now? Imagine what lawsuit can go against the justice system for all this time in court as well. It's just so complex. The fact that in the last reading, I think it was clear I didn't see any remorse in the question I asked, and we're just going to ask this question even more, or once more. I'm going to change, look at the bottom of the deck before. So he just wants to fight it. Before I change cards, look at the bottom of the deck, Spirit said. He's just willing to fight it. He's defensive. He's on defensive mode. The plan, still holding on to secrets here. He feels, what is this? He definitely feels like there's a money behind it. There's a project behind it. And he's forward looking in terms of it, but we're still getting here secrets not disclosed, and I wonder if there's a woman helping him here. So could it be through the LA Innocence Project who's interviewing him? There's a woman helping him here. I don't see any remorse. I didn't in the first reading. I still don't see any remorse. Okay, I'm asking a question. I've asked for a certain card to come out. It's not come out. I'm going to ask one more time, because I asked in the first reading and I got a very strong yes. 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 So he is guilty. So the first time I got a no, I didn't get the answer I wanted. I did this time. Let's do it third time for any speculative. Well, I mean, we've got Hierophant and Magician who's just popped out as well. Yes, I mean, I didn't doubt it from, you know, the channeling, but just to let you know. What I do want to check on, though, is I get, like, I do get an energy that, you know, he wasn't, I feel like things went really downhill when it was baby time, right? Pregnancy. But I also feel like she wanted a baby more than him, like long before. So they might have been trying to have a baby a while before, and then, you know, it gets really stressful, and maybe she's like, no, I really want a baby, we need to keep trying, we need to keep trying. The man gets more stressed as well. It turns into a whole performance thing, and, you know, that can get really, really stressful. So but when I was, let me just pull cards, a couple of cards. First is a different question. This was going to pop out a minute ago, and it's the same energy of that was him in the first question. Let's just turn this over so that we're focused. He was a bit like, he was happy and not so happy. He was a bit like, he was like really happy, but also sometimes a bit like, oh my God, you know, and I think a lot of it was also around money, you know, around how much financial pressure this is going to be about the pregnancy, okay? So I think that was the 10 of Wands, 9 of Wands, or 10 of Wands. He did feel very held and restricted. And but in terms of her becoming pregnant, he felt a sense of relief and accomplishment. But he did feel very held and restricted, which is the energy I was getting once, you know, she fell pregnant. Yeah, he felt like it was a very challenging time at crossroads. One chapter of his life was ending and it was going down you know, a very new kind of lifestyle, a new life. Tying in with my first read, okay? Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, a good card to have. But again, we can see the dynamics of different pulling energy. And this one really speaks out to me a lot with the channeling I've done. Okay. I'm told to pull a card. Wow. How did he feel about the baby towards the end of the pregnancy? They'd already called the baby Connor, right? There was a wish fulfillment, but he kept a secret around this. And look at this card. I think he was wishing she would have a miscarriage. 1 second. I was told to also pull one card from this tarot deck, because I was shuffling and Spirit sent my eyes over there to pull it. So one card from here. Queen of Swords. He felt Laci had changed. What I was getting originally is that he felt Laci had changed in terms of even who she was. She was heavier, she was having trouble in the pregnancy, maybe she wasn't able to move as much, which makes me question how much she was able to do. That's the other thing I wanted to say. I've tried to look into the timeline of this and it's so confusing. Some say they saw her walk the dog. The doctor said she wouldn't have walked the dog or something like that. So some people speculate about that. Some people say they saw her walk the dog, but that was after the neighbour had put the dog back in with the lead and the collar. But apparently the story is that the dog was left wandering. The neighbour found it, but Laci had already gone. So it's all over the place. And the problem with this, and this is what I'm going to cover in part 3 of Chiron, and what I do in a lot of the reads, is let's say you're a neighbour and you go out, right? And you normally think, okay, let's just pretend you walk your dog as well and you see Laci normally walk the dog. You normally go out around 10-ish every day, right? Sometimes, if you're not like stuck that I've got to be out 8:45 to get to work or whatever, or 9:45 or 10:45, whatever it is, we're working on a 10 a.m. to walk the dog. You might be getting ready and today you woke up about 5 minutes later, or you took 5 minutes to, you know, you couldn't find your pink leggings or something like that, but you really wanted to wear them. You ended up finding them. And as you're walking out the door, Sandy, your daughter-in-law, calls, or your daughter, and you kind of like speak to her. And without knowing, like 15, 20 minutes, half an hour has passed and you just leave. After a certain amount of time, you're just going to go on, yeah, 10 a.m. I walk the dog. You're not going to remember Sandy called you and you spent half an hour talking about Pete, who's, I don't know, got a new job, right? So people remember only what is their absolute norm. They won't remember to the pinpoint. So there could be even confusion on, did they actually see her that day, or is it because 25 days out of a month they see her around the same time that you go walk at 10 a.m. So you're just like, yeah, I saw her, but actually you saw her the day before, or whatever it is. And I'm gonna actually do a reading on to see whether it was that morning or was it in the evening. Now, if it was the evening, I wonder if they had cadaver dogs visit the home, if it was done at home. But what we can see here is that, you know, he was, let me just ask about this. He'd seen Laci change, all right. She'd also become a lot more frustrated, probably because she was heavier, and maybe she started to sense things. She never thought that this was happening. She didn't think he was cheating on her, but she did feel something not so close as, like if she were to look back now, there's red flags, especially in terms of the baby, okay? But to her, it didn't feel like a red flag or offish. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he was quite cold in terms of the baby. And he was very much focused on, I think, his affair with Amber, in and out. Again, I feel like it's kind of wanting to be single, a bit more free than what is happening here. These cards are shocking, by the way. So I wonder if she was the one that really wanted the baby and it took forever or quite some time to conceive. What else have I got? So I've told you about the anchor. So I think his alibi is that he thinks the burglars, there was 2 burglars across the way. Either she went out to see them, which makes absolutely no sense to me. 8-month-old, very heavy, feeling heavy, woman. I don't know if that's been said, but I'm just saying what I get. Goes out to check on 2 burglars across the way. But if she wasn't feeling heavy and she was very light and stuff, would she? I mean, it's a big risk. You could get pushed, or the baby, it's 8 months pregnant. And so that's one alibi. The other one, which I'm not sure which one he's going with, because people are saying different stuff from me looking at little clips, is that there was 2 burglars across the way. And this is the other timeline issue, that the people that were burgled was away from like the 23rd or 24th until after that weekend. So I think they said like 4 days, so probably around, they were back after Christmas basically. So you can't say when these burglars were there to pinpoint that. And there's a belief that they took Laci. Again, we're talking about then they took Laci and they, put her in a boat, created the same concrete. There's some concrete tabs, so I wonder if they found those kind of tabs at his work or somewhere else. And I also wonder in terms of this boat, when I think of a boat, I think of something like quite big, but on the grand scheme of things, something quite big is very expensive. So I think it's a bit smaller than what I had in my mind's eye. I see something a bit smaller. I don't even think he believes his narrative. I'm saying this because there's a case going on that I've not followed, but I've seen an 8-minute clip, and it's the Robert Tellis, or Tellis, is said different, maybe it's a bit Spanish. and the Xing of a journalist, that guy might have a bit of an amnesia, but he's also created a narrative that he fully believes and he cannot associate with reality, because also he doesn't connect himself with that person. It's like no, that's not me. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not Scott. I don't get that energy from him. And allegedly, that's what I say in terms of Robert on an 8-minute clip and energy I pick up. Scott, I don't feel it. I don't feel that he's created a narrative that he fully believes and is in some kind of illusion, psychosis. No. Or I think he still knows he did. So I look at these cards. I think they prove it. Like, there's heartbreak there, so he definitely knows he's done it. There's not a misjudgment. There's not a sense of I just want to move to. To me, this says no. This says he's not. It's the three of swords is upright, right? I think more, and the High Priestess is showing me this. I think this more of this veil of a different perception and a different outcome is actually a secret. Is a secret. He knows it. It keeps coming out, this High Priestess, but he knows he's done it. There's something about throwing her phone. What the hell was that? I put a note because I don't know. I wonder if he gives me pathological liar vibes, you know that? For holding on to his narrative. Let's look at what else I get here. Okay, so I've got a note. I had a download of something. Last card. No. So I asked, has Laci had a previous miscarriage? She hasn't. Okay, so that's confirmed with those. Yeah, he did press on her stomach. He did press on her stomach. I do get that look. You know, I said in the last read, his parents know. There's a female that really backs him up. There's a female, and I wonder if this is the LA organization, but there's also in his family a female who backs him up. So this was actually on circumstantial evidence, isn't it? Like I said in the first read, his parents know, but it's kind of like, how can it be my son, right? In the first read. Like it's not that they're trying to lie, it's just not accepting, it's not entering, basically. So let's just check something. They met in, when did they meet? Because she got pregnant, I've got here, in 2002. I think they were dating in 1996. Yeah, 1996 to 1997 were dating. I hope this documentary that I've seen, because it's like true crime snippets, so that I don't get full story stuff, so I can stay quite unbiased and not pick up energy that drags me even further down or anything. And I've got 1996 to 1997 dated, so you know, it looks like it might be a couple of years later they got engaged. And 2002 they conceived, which could mean that they were trying to, she was trying to get pregnant for a bit of time. 1 second. When did this happen to her? Because I don't want to ask the wrong year. I forgot when it happened. Was it 204? I think it's 203 or 204, so I might be okay to say, okay, so let's say I already had 2 cards out, never mind, we'll take them. So in 1999, seeing as they were dating, 1998, seeing as they were dating 1996, 1997, 2 years engaged, they must have then got married. So 1998, there was some things that was not moving forward with them in terms of like maybe moving, maybe money. Something was just, there was luck that was turning for them, but something was just not moving forward. It was kind of like patiently waiting on something in the relationship, all right? In 1998, 2000, we've got here a bit more of a better energy. It seems like things were moving forward. Maybe they got their home around this time, like this is what they were trying to do, is 1998 is have their home. So it'd be interesting to see if like those couple of years is where they've actually moved home, a car was bought. It seemed like it was a good year. Things were moving forward in the right direction for them in 2002, especially in home life. I wonder if this is when Laci might have felt really good and wanted the pregnancy. Then we have 2000, then 2002, because I think this would have been around 2003. Their relationship, okay, so enter Amber, I think, at some stage. 2002 going to 2003. Scott seemed to, this is where he's got to know Amber, okay, anytime in 2003, end of 2002, 2003. I wanted like their kind of last year. yeah, he was a bit getting all stressed with being tied down. This is Amber entering the picture, him acting like he's single, but he's actually very stressed and tied. A lot of it is stress, mental inflicted, like I'm really tied to this situation. I feel hopeless. I can't do anything in my life. I can't move forward. And his romantic energy was going towards Amber. Let's check December. It was December, wasn't it? So maybe it was December 02. This is like the last year, whether it's 02 or 03, this one. So let's just check December of the year that she I think it might have been December 2002. Let's see. The final month. Oh wow, look at that. End of the chapter. Can't lie, can you? Or the tarot can't lie yet. The mother-to-be, this was in the first reading. Can you remember when I was saying something about her pregnancy? There was some, no, it wasn't her. It was, sorry, it was Ellen Greenberg, where I said she might have been hiding a pregnancy prior. So Laci, you know, the mother-to-be, she's overflowing with love, compassion. She's really happy. It's something that she's really, really wanted. And the last month, you know, I said that he'd thought about it. And I think this was the world at the end. Let's look at November. A lot of heavy burden, pressure being felt, okay? I feel like this is Laci's energy starting to slowly burn out. She's had to temper a lot of the things that she used to do. So if she used to like to stay active, or maybe even the walk the dog situation, she had to switch up her routine. A lot of burdens and responsibilities was felt at this time. So this could be Scott, right? Really feeling heavy in terms of the burden, responsibility for the upcoming child. Not able to see a crossroads, not able to see clearly how this new chapter, this new beginning, you know, something new and igniting, just seeing it in a way of fear and resentment, not seeing it very clearly. And I presume, just because I don't want to, I know who this is, but like, just so that you don't think I'm reading it one-sided, I'm only channeling what I feel for each card. I believe this is him, because we've got Laci here very clearly happy, you can see it. And then no indication from her, can you see where she's feeling held or anything? It's him and the end. Can I just pull up, like, I've got this book that gives me weird descriptions of page of wands, and I just want to pull up and see what it says, because sometimes they just click stuff. So let's see this page of wands. because as I'm tapping into it, with the Two of Swords, it's definitely telling me that someone can't see this as a new, fresh chapter to feel very ignited on. So in a scene, in a scene similar to the former, which is the page Knight of Wands, the young man stands in an act of proclamation. He is unknown but faithful, and his tidings are strange. Meanings: dark young man, divination meanings: dark young man, faithful, a lover, an envoy, a postman. Beside a man, he will bear favourable testimony concerning him. Thinking is a little Casanova. He is a dangerous rival if followed by the Page of Cups. He is chief of qualities. He's not followed by the Page of Cups. I think it's basically what I've channeled, but it's interesting what they say there, isn't it? I mean, the Two of Swords really clearly says there, you know, it's kind of like it's kind of a not being able to see, really feeling at a massive crossroads. Not being able to see, feeling at a crossroads. She's so in her element here. She's having pain and stuff, but she's so overjoyed with this pregnancy. And he's just totally on another level here. Let's get another card for this Page of okay, let's get it from here. Interesting. Page of Wands. Too many cards, but let's take them. Imbalancement of the home, wanting a new chapter, the home, the new chapter, the justice, the balance, and the Two of Swords again. I mean, I think it's just clear what I've said, and there's the Knight of Wands again. It's like, you know, when you get married and there's no children and stuff, it's kind of like you can still live your life and feeling, I'm not saying you can't without children, but it's kind of like you can still like be like, oh, I'm off to play tennis, and you can be out half the time, but you're telling each other where you are. When you have children, you're more housebound, you're more tired, you've got more responsibilities, and that just doesn't seem to be what he wanted. And we saw here in came Amber and him pretending wanting to be single, feeling very tied up. I think I'm going to end this here. If you want another one covering this, maybe we look at what are some of his key mistakes. What do you think? Let me know, and we'll cover this in some sequences. Also, stay on the lookout for Chiron's reads. Make sure you support the ones you want. We will do a Delphi as well. And yes, I'm going to do a political one as well. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay blessed. And if the videos were not at the beginning, they will be now, or any photos. I hope I remember to add them in.